All right, everybody, welcome back. If you hear a lot of noise in the background, understand that I'm traveling. I'm in a different country, whether you know or you don't know. And what I'm starting to find out is usually construction on these buildings. I'm staying in modern buildings. I've stayed in older buildings. Usually, the buildings they have thin walls, and I don't know what it is about this country and everybody having thin walls. But it is, and a lot of people here, they love to listen to music. They love to be, they're more community oriented, so there's a lot of conversations going on all the time. And if I'm being completely honest with you guys, I don't mind it. It doesn't bother me to the point where I can't sleep, or it affects my daily life in any way. But there's a lot more openness when your walls are thin, and usually you can see into people's apartments or houses. But it just is what it is. So yeah, that's if you hear a bunch of things going on in the background. What I wanted to bring you guys attention to you guys today is simply what I've been thinking about for the past couple of days now. And it was simply just, the work that we have to do as men. One of the things that I've realized is for the longest time, I've had to organize everything that I've wanted to accomplish in my life. Now, when I first started this, it was very chaotic. I would just do very basic things like, get in shape or make a lot of money or, have a girlfriend or be a player, whatever. But again, I was young and I was just starting, and so I had no idea. But now that I'm kind of 10 years deep into this thing, I've reached the point to where now I'm a lot more mature about these things, to where it's would benefit me a lot more if I were to write things down, be a lot more organized in my life plan, as you can say, or at least the things that I really want to focus on. When I first started this journey, I've talked to a lot of you guys, or at least in the earlier days of this channel, hundreds of you guys. I'd even say thousands at this point. And I realized that the average person doesn't have anything written down. The average person doesn't know what they want. The average person doesn't know how to get what they want. The average person has never taken the time, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. I've really just sat in a room of silence and brought out a notepad or iPad or whatever and just kind of wrote down everything that they want to do currently or in the future. And if you need more help with that, just go into the description of either this video or a video on my past, and you can book a consultation. I just did one the other day helping a 19-year-old out. So I'm hoping that he's listening right now and he's doing the work that we came together to give him what he wants to accomplish in the future. Okay, so yeah, I realized that. And so I started writing things down, and as I'm writing things down, it's like, damn, man, like this thing, it gets complicated. And I will just give you guys a quick example here. I have my spreadsheet here that I put on Google Sheets, which, if you have no idea, Google, pretty much like Adobe and Microsoft, they have like their own versions of, like PowerPoint and all, what else? Excel. Those things cost money if you're not a part of a corporation or a school. And so if you need a free version of that, Google actually offers that. So a free game for you. Okay, for free. Okay, so yeah, I have here is like, so there's 4 sections. If you've been a follower of mine for a long time or a subscriber of mine for a long time, I've already broken this down. There are 4 main sections to the average person. If I were started at the beginning, like if I was at the beginner level, it's first body, mind, heart, and soul. That's very elementary, right? You should be way past that. But if you're not, I would highly suggest that you get to work on that. When you get to work on that and you're learning and you're understanding and you're practicing, it starts to transcend into what I would call more the mature, the adult side of things, which comes as health, your wealth, your relationships, and your purpose. Okay, those are 4 separate categories. Now, again, there's categories within categories, and so you have to step away from trying to make things as easy as possible, especially the older that you get. The older that you get, it's like, bro, you have to just accept the fact that you're gonna have to juggle 16, 17, 20 different things at the same time. And when you realize how difficult that is, that's when you start to reach out for support and things that I'm going to go over here in a second. So okay, so let me tell you guys what I at least wrote down. So when it comes to your health, there's different categories when it comes to your health, as you know or don't know. Of course, there's the foods that you eat. Okay, and then I even have a subsection for that. There's foods, there's the macronutrients you have to make sure that you're eating, the micronutrients that you make sure you're eating. There's hydration, you have to make sure you're drinking enough water. And of course, if you want to throw in electrolytes in that, you can too. There's meal prep. So, and again, I say these things, but just because you know these things doesn't mean you're going to be 100% accurate on everything. But you want to at least keep an eye on it to make sure that you're at least in the ballpark. You get what I'm saying? Of course, the ultimate goal is to become the most perfect human man ever available, right? But, this is real life. But a part of real life is you don't just stuff anything and everything into your mouth. There has to be some sort of plan. If you don't know what micronutrients are or macronutrients are and you're above the age of 25, let me be the first to tell you that you need to grow the fuck up. And I'm not saying that to be a bully or mean. I'm just being honest because you're in the age range to where you could start to become a father, and that means you're going to be more responsible for other human beings. Or if you're in a serious relationship, then you and your girlfriend or your wife, if you decide to be the leader, that means you're going to be leading in terms of health, and one of you has to make sure that you know at least a little something about macro and micronutrients so you guys can control the body compositions that you both have. Okay. So again, if throughout this talk, if I say anything and it sounds like I'm attacking you or anything like that, I'm not, bro. I'm just being honest with you, because I want the best for you the same as I want the best for myself. Okay. So micronutrients, understanding that would take you less than 30 minutes if you actually try to understand it. So don't think that these things are hard. Of course, hydration and meal prep. So that's just under foods for health, right? So the next thing is exercise, of course. Now, exercise is different. Everybody has different goals. Everybody wants their body to look a certain way. So don't copy my thing word for word. This is just giving you an idea. So the thing is, the next one is there's foods, and this next one is exercise. Okay, for me, I put down strength training, cardio, and then body weight workout. I'm looking at how my body is right now and just the goals that I have for myself. I want to start training as a hybrid athlete. I really like the idea of that, just because, I've had years of experience strength training, years of experience cardio. I was a runner, high school, track, cross country, the whole nine. What else? And then body weight workouts have always been like my weak point. And so I always want to develop that and have a more of a stronger foundation with that. So incorporating all three of these. So that's awesome. So of course, exercise. The next one is food, exercise, and then recovery. Talking about sleep. There is I want to say there is an interview. I can't tell you the interview. I'm sure if you just look up how important is sleep interview on the internet, you're going to find some expert somewhere talking about it. Sleep is extremely important. So you want to make sure that you're sleeping. And again, this is more a serious topic, bro. It's like when you get older, these are things that you have to keep an eye on. When you're young, you guys know, it's like you're invincible, and again, I'm 29, so it's not like I'm like the oldest dude in the world. But again, it's like I'm not 20 anymore, and there's a huge difference between 20 and 29. At least for me, I'm noticing the effects, and this is why I'm trying to get ahead of it now. Because if I'm slowing down this much at 29, I can only imagine 39 or 49 when the different changes that are going on in my body hormonally or chemically, whatever makes us sound smart. Okay, so we have the recovery, we have sleep, we have stress management, huge for men, huge for men. A lot of us don't realize how much stress we endure just living our life throughout the day and the things that we have to go through. So it's very important that we keep an eye on that, stress management, and of course, rest days. Me personally, I'm starting to realize that I don't like rest days, only because rest days make me comfortable, and then it makes it a lot harder to get back into my active days. And so I want to rest, but I want to make sure it's more of like an active rest day. Maybe do some, like as far as exercise, maybe do some like cardio, like walking, you know what I'm saying, like that, things of that nature. But I don't want to have rest days to where I'm just like sitting around doing nothing for a full 24 hours, excuse me. Okay, next, after recovery, we have flexibility and mobility, right? The one thing I see when I'm outside and I'm looking around, bro, I see a lot of older dudes, bro, and they're like hunched over because they can't stand up straight anymore. And I know, I don't want to assume, but I know the majority of that is simply because they did not have any type of mobility or stretching routine in their youth, and their muscles have finally said, you know what, I quit, and then it's over. And now it's just like mountains of pain because of the hard labor they were probably doing for years on end without stretching or having some type of mobility routine. So there's that. Next thing, mental health, okay? Meditation, therapy, journaling. If you're anything like me and you're kind of skeptical about therapists, mainly because I've talked to a lot of therapists and I realized that they are the ones that need therapy. You know what I mean? It's like I can't really trust your expertise when I can see that you clearly need therapy. You got that degree for you, not for me. You know, but a lot of people don't see that. But if you're anything like me, and that's just how you are, Chat GPT is a great resource, a amazing resource. If you're a private individual like I am, I would just use the version to where it doesn't store all of your data, like your account or something like that. So, incognito tab or just log out. And again, that's if you're paranoid about your data and your information being out there because you're talking about sensitive topics. But yeah, that's just, if you're a little paranoid like me. But I give it the types of problems and the things that I would do for those of you who don't really know about ChatGPT. The things that I would do is I would program it to say like, hey, like you're a masculine therapist who gives me who skips all the fluffs and gives me profound answers. You're not here to coddle my feelings or to make me feel good about certain decisions. You know what I'm saying? I preface it with that. That way I make sure that what it spits out to me is raw and real. And so it's actually a very great resource if you're trying to find the holes in your thinking, or maybe if you struggle with empathy or sympathy or anything like that, it can help you with that. And then you can always ask it questions like, hey, I feel like you've been on my side this whole time. What are some negatives about the things that I'm talking about? And where does this come from? Talk about your childhood. It's really amazing. It's really amazing. So I would definitely do that. But if you're not into that, definitely go into journaling. Journaling is absolutely amazing. I tell you guys all the time that you should be journaling. If you don't have a journal, you're not in the game. Very much super powerful. You want to get all of the thoughts that are in your head out on paper so that they at least can stop bothering you. If you're a type of person who you have trouble sleeping or you can't even do a simple task without thinking a million and one thoughts, journaling is extremely great for that. And then the last one that I have on here is a new one that I want to start getting into, which is blood work. Okay, again, 20 years old, I don't think you're going to need any type of blood work or anything like that. But again, as you get older, there are a lot of things that you have to pay more attention to, and I think blood work is going to be huge, at least for me, starting now. That way, I can start to develop reference points and then understand certain patterns that I'm doing based off of the habits that I choose to do. So that's just under health, right? And again, all of this just sounds fucking not even complicated. It just sounds like a lot of work. You know what I mean? But that's just the reality of it is. Am I going to get all of these 100% right? I would love to, right? But that's just not the reality. But I want to make sure that I at least have a resource to where I could look at to make sure that I'm focusing on the things that I actually care about. Because I care about my health, right? And whether you do or don't, that's completely up to you. So let's go into the next category, which is wealth. Wealth comes in, and I'll kind of speed through these a little bit. Is the first one is income. Obviously, you want to make sure that you're keeping an eye on your income. A lot of people don't keep an eye on their income. It's like, how much money do you make a year? I make $30,000 a year. It's like, okay, how much did you make next year? And it makes like I make $30,000 a year. And like, why hasn't that increased? And it's like, because they never gave me a promotion, or they never gave me they never bumped my pay. Or if they did bump your pay, they probably did it just to cover inflation, which is, I want to say anywhere from 3%, but nowadays, especially in the United States, like 3 to 7%, which is absolutely ridiculous. But anyways, maybe even more than that. But anyways, so again, it's like you're in charge of your own income. And so you have to go into your job, whether it's every 6 months. I read a professional book that said that you should be talking about this every 3 months. But I know a lot of people don't really have the balls for that, especially if they really need their job. And so, every 6 months or every year, there should at least be a conversation on the things that you can improve on, the things that you can do that can help you increase your income. Whenever they bring you into the room, I don't know if you guys have this type of job, but I know some old jobs that I had in the past, they would bring you into the room and they'll say, hey, good job, blah, 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 the whole corporate spiel. And then they'll say, oh, okay, we're going to give you a 10-cent raise. You know what I mean? And again, because I read that professional development book, I understand that 10% or that 10%, that 10-cent raise was not an actual raise. It was just to cover the cost of rising inflation. And so I mentioned that, and I said that's just to cover the cost of inflation. And do you think that my efforts here are worth more than that? And again, that's very like a scary thing to do if you've never done that before. But again, if the other person has some sense and they're not a complete fucking idiot or a moron for a boss, then they're going to respect you for that. And they're going to say, okay, well, what do you think? And it's like, okay, well, I want some more responsibility. Responsibility means more money. You should never be taking more responsibility at your job unless you're getting paid for it, or there is some type of compensation for it. Because if they want more out of you, then you're going to have to want more out of them. Never forget that you working at your job is a mutual relationship between two businesses. Okay, you are a business. And if you don't believe me, then you should ask why the IRS is taking money from you every single paycheck. All right. So let me get off my high horse on that, or just let me get off of that tangent. So you want to make sure that you're keeping an eye on your salary. You should be incorporating some type of side hustle or something that gives you passive income. Passive income is very simple, especially if you're if you're the type of person that you don't even want to look at it. I would highly suggest that you look into stocks. There are certain, I want to say they're either called mutual funds or ETFs. Please do your own research where you can put money in and it's going to grow at you at a certain rate. And then, of course, there are certain ones that they give you dividend returns based off the money that you're pouring into it. Okay, so I would highly look into that for your passive income if you don't feel like doing a whole bunch of work because you're already doing a whole bunch of work. All right, and side hustles, of course, side hustles. I look at side hustles. I know a lot of us work crazy hours already, but side hustles are a great way to start saving up for your first investment, whether, again, that's stocks, whether that's crypto, whether that's real estate, whether that's you're trying to get into like Airbnb, or you're trying to get into Turo. If you don't know what these platforms are, please look it up. Or you're trying to buy some land, rent out the land, or you're trying to buy an RV and rent out the RV, or you're trying to listen. I'm giving you some ideas. I highly suggest that you start looking into these different side hustles. They could be really changing. They could really be life changing. Okay, so you want to make sure that you are saving up for your first investment that can help you at least cover your bills. The whole point of side hustles for me is to cover all of your expenses. That way, all the money that you make at your job is strictly yours. And whether you want to feed your stock portfolio, that's awesome, or you want to use that money to save it for a vacation. I mean, is that a great financial advice? Not really, but it is what it is. We all have the things that we want. If you just want toys, you get what I'm saying, bro. And again, none of this is financial advice. I'm not liable for any of the decisions that you make. But you guys understand what I'm saying. So next things after that, that's income. So the next thing after that is savings. You want to make sure that you have an emergency fund. These savings and emergency fund, I've heard these things be tossed around a lot. And it wasn't until I got my first one that I realized how powerful these things really are, okay? It's like you don't realize how much of a weight you're carrying on your shoulders until you have an emergency fund built out. And that emergency fund is gonna be like an invisible weight that's lifted off of your shoulders because you understand that any problem that you have, whether it's car related or maybe it's you lose your job or maybe it's rent related, whatever type of problem that you have enough money to cover it. I always start people off at $1,000 because usually most times not even emergencies, but the little dangers that you face financially can be covered with anywhere from about $1,000. Okay, so I would start there, but then of course I would want to grow that from anywhere from 1,000 to 5 to 10. Okay, just because if something happens, you're not worried about it at all because you know you have enough money to fix it and it's not going to affect your daily life. Okay. So that there's the emergency fund and then there's general savings. I use my general savings as more of an investment into like courses and things, by education, other things that I'm going to talk about here in a second when it comes to when it comes to relationships that I'll talk about later here. So you have your savings. In next ones, you have your investments. Investments, simple rule of thumb, you just want to invest into appreciating assets. Yesterday, I was doing a lot of research on gold. I wanted to start collecting gold until I realized about the retail fees and how much I'm actually going to be making over a long period of time, which after all is said and done is roughly about 3%, which I'm not going to be holding a bunch of fucking gold for it to appreciate at 3% when I could just get a high yield savings account that's giving me anywhere from 4 to 5%, you know. So gold is out for me. I've also looked up luxury watches, but just seeing how stagnant it was, I'm like, I'm not doing that shit either. But yeah, there's just some of the things that I'm talking about. I'm kind of rambling. Okay, so next, appreciating assets. After that, debt management. A lot of us have debt, some of us don't. Great for you. So that's loans, credit cards, or if you're already behind, repayment plans. If you're going to go to a repayment plan, whatever it is that you do, you want to make sure that you get in writing that they're going to take that off your credit report. A lot of people, what they'll do is they'll have you pay it off, and then they'll sell that debt to the next person, and the next person will collect it, and they'll keep you in an endless loop of pretty much you paying everybody when you shouldn't be paying it at all, especially after you've already repaid it. Okay, so you want to make sure that you get that in writing and talk to the people about that. Next one, career progression. Career progression is skill development and certifications. Again, like I said earlier about savings and general savings. General savings I would use towards that. You know, some of you guys, especially if you're in IT, you guys know that you have to get a lot of certifications. Even if you're not in IT, maybe you want to switch careers or maybe just be better in your career to make you look good on your resume. Definitely start investing into skill development and certifications. It's going to help. Or if you're a person, you have a dead-end job, and you're like, bro, I'm sick of making this little bit of money. I'm not getting ahead. You start saving up and get your that type of certification, which that's HVAC, plumbing, electrician, construction, whatever. Okay, you always want to make sure that you have some type of plan that's going to increase your income. That's going to allow you to pay for your side hustles, that your side hustles can hopefully one day cover all your expenses to where you don't have to work, or if you do want to work, you just keep building out that side hustle empire until it's your main business, if that's the path that you want to go. If you're a worker and you're like, you know what, I don't even care about any of that, bro, I would just feed a stock account, if I'm being honest with you. And again, don't be a person that's like, oh, I have to pick the perfect stock. Unless you're a stock guy, bro, don't even just leave it up to the experts. Start investing. Like I said, it's either mutual funds or ETFs, and just keep feeding that bitch. All right. So let's what's next? Okay, and money management. Of course, you want to make sure that you're tracking your expenses and being mindful in your spending. Especially, it's very special for us because as men, we're known as providers. At least the people who have like that masculine character or identity that we're trying to embody. Tracking expenses, mindful spending. You want to make sure that nobody else is spending all of your money just because you want to look a certain way. You want to stand up for yourself financially. And again, bro, we've already talked for 22 minutes, and I've just got done with health and wealth. We still have relationships and purpose, and this is what I'm talking about, right? I'm gonna speed run through the next thing so I could get you guys to understand exactly what it is that I'm talking about. So I have relationships. Relationships, we have romantic relationships, family relationships, friends, networking, and community, okay? For romantic, working on communication, quality time, the goals that you guys have together. If you're in a romantic relationship and you guys don't have goals, that's an issue. It's a huge issue because that means nobody's leading. You guys aren't going anywhere. You just are enjoying each other's time and company, which is great, but that's going to get old after a while, okay? So you want to make sure that you guys are going through a wide range of emotions together, right? Whether that's the success of losing weight or the failing of losing weight, talking to each other about these problems and these issues. And it makes for a much stronger relationship because the depth that you guys have went through together just makes you guys that much stronger, or you realize that you guys are really uncompatible when it comes to certain things and you shouldn't be wasting each other's time being in a relationship. Next one, family. Of course, family is just like regular contact with your family. I've met people, they talk to their parents every single day. I've met people, they talk to their parents maybe once every 2 months. You know what I mean? And so you just got to ask yourself, what kind of relationship do you and your parents have? Or which kind of relationship do you want with your parents? Maybe every day or maybe once a week, or you get what I'm saying. Friends, social outing, and connections is very important. This is a huge one for a lot of guys, especially the guys who are listening to this. I know um, you have trouble going out. It's very important that you go out. And usually, most people are like, "Oh no, I don't go out because I'm not really a club person or a bar person." And it's like, bro, that tells me the limited view that you have on social outings. There are so many different activities that you can do as social outings. You got rock climbing, bro. You got the different sports leagues. You got what else? I've seen run clubs are getting popular. Or at least run clubs were popular about 6 months ago. I don't know what they are right now, but run clubs exist, bro. Gaming tournaments exist. A lot of guys will get together, go to an arcade, and just game with each other. If that's your steez, if that's what you want to do. Shout out to Dave in the group. He does snowboarding. It's great for if you want to go out and look for other people who are snowboarding and doing things like that. That's awesome. There's just a ton of hobbies that if you went out there and you looked for how can I be social, like is there any social gatherings, you can find it. And so it's very important that you do that because again, when you lack a social interaction with people, you just end up being fucking weird, bro. And I don't know how else to put that. And it's not because you're different or you're like some lone wolf or some shit like that. It's simply because you're just out of practice most of the time. Okay, and a lot of your social outings and connections, that's going to help you get jobs in the future, girlfriends, whatever. It helps a lot. And that brings me to my next one, which is networking. Professional relationships, collaborations. That's something that I need to work on if I'm being completely honest with you. It's just reaching out to other content creators and doing collaborations and just talking to them and things about not reaching out, being professional and scheduling things with us. And then, of course, community. Community is huge, like-minded people. And this kind of go into one of the points that I was talking about. As I've already read through all of these, and I still have, excuse me, I still have a couple more. The things that I just want to mention is you guys realize as well as me that this is a lot. I know there's a lot of superhumans out there, like some of you guys out there who this is nothing to you and you work on this every second of the day. You have a watch that beeps every 15, 20 minutes for you to work on your next thing. You're fucking on it. You're killing it. You're crushing it. That's amazing. That's not the average person, right? The average person, it's like all this shit is difficult. Let's just keep it honest. All this shit is difficult. And again, this is supposed to be done by people who are what I like to call whole human beings. You get what I'm saying? People who had both parents in their lives, who had a stable enough income, who then went to school and had a stable a social life growing up. The average guy, bro, the average guy does not have that shit. The average guy comes from a broken family. Their parents are probably fucked up, which means they're fucked up. And then they have to pretty much dig their way out just to become fucking normal. And then they look at the mountain before them and it's all this shit, okay? So you have a lot of shit that's going on. So again, just because you had that type of life doesn't mean it's an excuse or a valid excuse for you to not do these things. Because, again, this is where it comes in from. One, getting a girlfriend or a wife you guys have no idea. Well, maybe you do have an idea. Some of you guys have an idea that changes a lot of things for you. If she's the right person who wants you to do well. She's going to help you and be more supportive of you. And you're going to want to do things, be a better man or a better human being for her because, it's just how you're wired, man. Maybe you're a people pleaser or maybe whatever. It's just how you're wired. I'm not here to tell you that you shouldn't be doing these things. You shouldn't feel this way. It just is what it is, right? And so if a girl helps you do that, it helps you do that, man. I've seen it happen before my eyes. I remember a long time ago when I was younger, I had problems cleaning my room, right? What kid didn't? And it wasn't until like the glimpse of like maybe a girl was coming over that I wanted to like fucking clean the shit out of my room. And that's the funny part because like the whole time you guys go and I went through that whole bullshit argument of like, oh, should I clean? Oh, I shouldn't clean. Oh, should I do this? Oh, no, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, I'll pick. Oh, it's so difficult. And then like that, the first hint of like female affection. I'm like, oh, let me go clean my room. And then it gets done in like fucking 30 minutes. And if you've ever like timed yourself cleaning your room, you know it doesn't take that long. But yeah, it's just like that's a motivator, for a lot of guys that I'm seeing. So that might be a romantic relationship for you. And again, so it's like there's the girlfriend and then there's like the community. Over last year, I've developed a community of like-minded individuals who decided that we are just trying to take our lives a lot more seriously. And what I learned, even though I want to say I started off with like 20, and then we made to the end. I want to say I made it with about 2 guys, right? So 20 to 2, which, if I'm being completely honest with you, I thought it'd be a lot less than that, if I'm being real. But the thing that I've learned is the things that we say that are very hard in our mind is not very hard, especially when you're being held accountable, or if somebody is if somebody is like I said, holding you accountable. And that's what I learned is like I switched from doing bi-weekly check-ins to like weekly check-ins, and you really started to understand that there are a lot of guys that they just, and again, I'm included in this, they'll just say a bunch of bullshit in their mind, but the reality is they're just not doing what they're supposed to do. But I remember I had a guy, shout out to you, you know who you are, to where he said he just didn't date. He doesn't date. He didn't date. And it's been a long time. I want to say it's been 2 years since he's been on a date. And I said, okay, do you want to change that? And he's like, yeah. I was like, okay, let's change it. And literally within a week, less than 7 days, he had a date and was going out on a date. And it was literally that easy, because that's what it is. A lot of guys go, oh, I don't do this, I don't do that. They're just making up excuses. The reality is, it's like you're just not trying. And if you really want to try, things happen a lot faster than you think, especially if you're the type to have goals. And I learned that from the community. It's like a lot of the things that people will BS on that'll take them a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months to do. When you have somebody says, hey, okay, listen, check back in with me in 3 days, 9 times out of 10 the person's going to get it done, just because they have that they're that type of person where, outside peer pressure gets to them. They don't want to be looked at as a disappointment, or they don't want to disappoint somebody they may look up to or respect. Doesn't matter which one. It's just how people are wired, okay? And again, the beautiful thing about understanding these things is you don't want to judge other people or even study other people and how they're wired. You really want to, at least not at first, you really want to judge yourself and to see how you're wired, so you can put things in perspective, so you can perform optimally. Okay, and so again, having either like a significant other, a girlfriend, or a wife, or somebody who's potential, that helps a ton. Another thing is being a part of a community, a like-minded community, that also helps a ton. It helps a lot, and so I actually want to reopen it back up. I want to start building that out. It's not open right now, but I want to start building that back up. Maybe make it a little bit more affordable. And start building that back up, because I understand how powerful it is to just be with a group of guys who really have your back. And when you have, it's amazing how, as men, the more that we get older, the more that we have to keep our accomplishments to ourselves. Not only because nobody really gives a shit, but it's also because there are some people out there that they don't want you to do well at all. And I think that fucking sucks, man. And so just having a group of guys who, when you say something, like you announce something, people just cheering for you and saying, yo, like, good job and all this other shit, that's very important for men. I don't think we realize how important that is for us. But it's very important. So, okay, let me speed through this last part here, which is the purpose tab. I have goal setting, time management, journaling, reflecting, spirituality / God, and environment. Goal setting, of course, again, in your journal. When I was doing the group, we would set goals for ourselves every week, or at least you were supposed to. Every week, you should have goals for the week, you should have goals for the month, you should have goals for the year. Okay, if you're very new to this, I would just start off with 3 major goals that you want to accomplish this year, and you'll be surprised when it comes November time how much you've accomplished if you're focusing on it. Okay, next one is time management. That comes into like routine, whether you're adding or subtracting different actions or habits. And what else? And also learning how to pivot, because one thing that you'll learn is when you start to make a life plan for yourself, or you start to make a routine, you're like, I'm going to do this, this, and this, is life is going to get in the way and is going to try to interrupt that as fast as possible. And so it's very important that you learn how to pivot and redo everything to fit whatever it is that you have going on. And so, yeah. Journaling and reflecting, brain dumping. Brain dumping is huge. Brain dumping is simply just writing down everything that's on your mind, all your thoughts, all your worries, all your concerns, all the things that you want to do. Like, usually at the end of a brain dump, you should look at your paper and it should make like no fucking sense at all, right? But again, those were just the thousands, hundreds of thousands of thoughts that were in your mind, just scrambling, going everywhere. And when the beautiful thing is, when you write all that stuff down, you're going to feel an emptiness in your brain, a very calm emptiness in your brain. And it's going to, trust me, I used to do it like before I went to bed, and it just like going to sleep, it made going to sleep that much easier. I don't have trouble falling asleep, but again, it made it that much easier when I just wrote everything down, because again, my mind wasn't racing, it had nothing to think about. All right. What's next? Spirituality, God. I know a lot of you guys don't believe in God, or if you do believe in God, that's awesome. You know, you want to strengthen your relationship for that. And then spirituality. Usually for spirituality, for me, the best advice that I could give for spirituality is you want to go into the spirit world looking for something. You don't want to just go in there just to hang out, because anything and everything is possible, and it's very easy to get confused and mixed up. And now you're over here freaking chopping your earlobe off because you're trying to sacrifice to some deity. Yeah, trust me, bro, it gets deep. So yeah, usually spirituality or God is simply giving you a mindset for creating and living. Okay, creating and living. It's very important. So whatever it is that you have in those areas, just focus on it. And make sure you ask questions. It's very, if you follow or worship God, you can ask God a lot of questions that he will definitely answer for you. I would utilize that if I were you. Same thing with spirituality. The difference is when you worship God, you're just talking to that God, versus spirituality, you're talking to whatever wants to talk back to you, bro. So, so again, that's why I say, like, you gotta be careful. All right. And so use discernment and things of that nature. All right, and of course, the last but not least, is environment, places that allow you to thrive. You guys know I'm in a different country, simply because, I thrive here. The weather is accurate. The weather is the best for me. I love the weather. I'm a sun guy, so you can't find me in places like fucking London, because every picture I see of London, bro, there's no sunshine. I can't do it. That and the food, bro. I look at the food, I'm like, hell no. I can never trust a group of people who think this is delicious. Nah, you will not find me there, bro. I'll go to visit. I hear it's pretty cool, but nah, hell no. I can't be there long. So yeah, I'm a big sun guy. So there's a lot of sun here. Weather's beautiful. The people are great. The community is great. The government initiatives, at least as far as the socialist side or the humanitarian side, are doing great things for the community. I absolutely adore it. So that's where I'm at, and just being in that state constantly puts me in a good mood to want to give you guys, of course, videos and things of that nature, and it allows me to put me in a place where I can really map out my life and say, like, okay, this is exactly what I want to do in the next 3 to 5 years. This is exactly what I want to work on, and then boom, I start to get to work. So that's awesome. So again, the whole point of what I was trying to tell you guys, this whole thing is like, these are just all the things that I've written down. I'm not going to say that my method is perfect or anything like that. There's some things that you can add to this on different sections. There's some things you might want to take away depending on the type of person you are and the goals that you want. But again, it's like my whole point of this was like, there is a shit ton of things that you're going to have to worry about as you get older. And again, when you start to get a hand on this, you have to understand that there's going to be a new level that has even more than that. You get what I'm saying? One of the things that, one of the quote unquote secrets of the rich, right? And this isn't what you think it might be. One thing that I know is one of the major secrets of the rich that I've run into is a lot of rich people are afraid. They're very scared. And it's simply because they have to play a much bigger game. If you see a guy, right, and this guy has a lot of money, this guy maybe he's in great shape, he has a great body or something like that, just great health. He has great relationships as far as he either can get any girl he wants to, or he can get a lot of girls naturally, and then he could just pay for the ones that he can't get, right? There's those type of guys. Their money's straight, their relationships are straight, they have family, they have friends, network, business connections, things of that nature. They look like they're on their purpose every single day. They just have all the money. The one thing that you find in these individuals, and I've talked to several of them, the one thing that you find is they're very bored. A lot of them are very bored. And that's why a lot of these people start to turn to like either drugs or hard drugs, or they start trying to occupy their time with something meaningless. at least meaningless for the level that they're on. Usually it's meaningful for the people who are quote unquote below them, but it's meaningless for them and where they're at in their life. And the reason why they're bored is simply because they're not trying to move on to the next level, because they're terrified. And the next level is fucking scary as shit when you're talking about people being at that level. And just the risk. Like imagine you had like the perfect life to your younger self thought. You know what I mean? Like you have fast cars and clothes and girls and all this other stuff that you thought would make you happy. It's like a lot of rich people have those things, and then when they get those things, they realize like, okay, this is great, but it doesn't give me fulfillment, and two, there are a lot of things that nobody really talks about when it comes to living those lifestyles. And so the next thing for them is like they have to take two routes. Now, again, and this is just based off of my philosophy. I'm not saying it's 100% correct, but for what I've been studying for the past 12 years, this leads to fulfillment. Is when you get to that point when you've mastered yourself, it's time to start a family. A lot of people will never, not will never, a lot of people will shy against that. Mainly because you have to include other people in that, again, i.e. women, and we all know that in some countries. And, not even some countries, they're just a certain archetypes and demographics of women who are literally the worst people you ever would want to be together with. Downright scary because they can tear down everything that you've worked for. But again, it's still necessary, because as much as there are of the bad, there are the complete opposite of that. Most of the times you're going to find out those in small towns, whatever country that you're in. But again, they exist, and it's your job to find one and then train her to be, not even train her to be a wife, but just to refine her to be the perfect wife for you. So yeah, you have those things. But a lot of guys will skip that, and so they'll just be a player their whole life. Listen, nobody, trust me, from a quote unquote ex-player, which I wouldn't even call myself that, but from somebody who was dibbling and dabbling with a lot of women, I would highly say that the shit isn't worth it. It's fucking annoying. It's boring. And any player that you've seen, I guarantee you, ask them this question: Would you trade all the women in the world for one good girl? Or like one good girl who's perfect for you? They would say yes. Or if they're intellectual, they'll just try to intellectually break down some bullshit as to why, like, oh, well, all women are the same, and what the fuck ever, bro. Right? Legit, a lot of people say marriages are end in divorce, and it's like, yeah, but nobody ever mentions the number of successful ones. So the whole point is like they're afraid. They're afraid to get married, at least for that part, because that's not even the hard part. Right, the once you get married and you have offspring, because the next part about this is being a prominent figure in your community, and being a prominent figure in a community that makes sense, not being a popular, well-known figure that has no fucking power. You just have money. No, I'm talking about you're actually doing shit, moving and shaking for your community, because again, when you get to those levels, you're reaching other people who have the same level of power, influence, and money that you have. And a lot of these people, not a lot, but a lot of these people, they don't give a shit about anybody, and they're simply trying to make more money, or they're simply trying to do more evil deeds. And so it's your job to be the light and the complete opposite of that, which means you have to face people who are probably smarter, not even smarter, just as smart as you, or just as capable of you is what I should say, just as capable as you. And that's fucking terrifying, because if you slip up, you could lose everything. So yeah, a lot of people who are rich people, or people who really have things quote unquote figured out, they're really afraid to play that game. And even if they master that game, it just keeps going on and on and on. It goes from your community to your state, or your city, to your country. Trust me, this game is played on damn near every level that you can think about. The one thing that I've learned about fulfillment, goal setting, things of that nature, is it keeps going and going and going and going. There's always a higher level. There's always a higher level. There's always a higher level. And a lot of the people who are rich and affluent and have all these things, a lot of them are just really scared of losing that lifestyle, which I can completely understand, because being poor sucks ass, and being in poverty also sucks ass. And so it's like, again, when you're playing at that level, you have a lot more to lose. And so a lot of people will just settle at the level that, that the 16-year-old will feel proud about. It's like, oh, I love all these girls and I have all these fast cars, and you know what I mean? Things of that nature. It's also about knowing your limits. I don't want to ramble too much on. I've already spent like 40-something minutes talking about this. But again, just know that it goes on and on. If you're the person that you're at the beginning, or maybe you're at the middle stages, just focus on, just write out the things that you should be focusing on, and then trying to get more and more accurate and having your actions align with these things. Because the brain is a machine that you program. And if you are willing to program it with all these different things, especially positive things, not only for yourself, but your family, your community, your culture, things of that nature, it's just going to help you out very, very well in the long run. All right, so that's all I got for you guys today. If you like this video, like the video, leave a comment down below. And with that, guys, I'll see you on the next one. All right, peace out.